right, hello, amazing people. Welcome to Friday Night Mic Drop. It is Friday night. It is Halloween. So for those of you who are having a fun time with Halloween tonight, awesome. I think we've got out front where we live. We'll probably get a lot of people, but we have a sign out front and a big, huge thing of candy because I'm going to be downstairs in the studio all night. Kitties, you don't want to you don't want to be opening the door and closing the door. So, yeah, we've got a pretty wild time. Finn, you can't do that, baby. You can't do that. No. Ah, my earbuds. Ah. Anyway, yeah. So, um, kind of a crazy day. This is the last day of the regular fall show. Me opening and closing the show. I'm so thankful that I will not have to be doing that. So I'll also be showing up, um, for like Thursday or I'm sorry, Tuesday night episodes. I won't have to leave early. Um, oh, Finn, you got to not do that. You're gonna get shot. Hey, oh, does anybody need a cat? Calm down. Oh, what are you gonna do? Anyways, so yeah, I've got a full schedule tonight, man, and but I appreciate you coming in. This is the first week of opening of two episodes, per night. So we're gonna start tonight with Three Eye Atlas with Tony Moseley. Check it out. Starts at 9 o'clock p.m. Ryan Files After Dark. Interesting episode. What is cool is to see the dichotomy between the academic world and the informational world. It's funny. Guys like Avi Loeb, who are in the academic lobe, have kind of said all kinds of things. If you saw him on Joe Rogan, he's talking about Three Eye Atlas and like, there's a good chance that nothing comes out of this, but we should at least be prepared because it is anomalous. In academia, kind of was like, well, we don't agree with Avi, even though he is a Harvard professor, of astronomy. So um, that to me is fascinating. Um, Finn is going nuts. Get it out of your system, girl. Get it out of your system. Um, and so, you had Timothy Alberino's take on it at the end of last week's episode, where he's got information behind the scenes and people are taking it more seriously. Avi Loeb came out and said, hey, a lot of academic people are coming up and saying, I agree with you, but I just can't say it. And then tonight, we have more of an academic side with Terry Moseley coming on talking about it. And he's kind of like, well, I don't really, a lot of people don't agree with what Avi said, but it's the academic side. So it's very interesting. What you're ultimately getting is not maybe getting the totality of the truth because there's reputations on the line and whatnot. And academia is very crazy. It doesn't work the way it should work. I think there was a time when it did, but now it doesn't. So that being said, and then just in the news, some weird things going on. There's certain people in the government being taken away to military bases. There's I read some sort of an article like 500 or so people per state need to be on the ready for whatever. You just wonder if they're connected or what's really going on. There's a lot of weirdness going on if you get out there and start scrubbing the internet. So not sure what's going on right now, but we'll see when we see. So there you go. Is it related to Three Eye Atlas? I don't know. But the wild thing about that, though, with Timothy Alberino's episode was this other thing that's out there. And man, I've got a couple people I'm trying to get on to talk about that. Allegedly, we know it's artificial. It's coming our way. It's coming really fast. It'll be here in a few years. It's wild, man. And then you start thinking about other people who have had on talking about everything from Nemesis to you name it. It's just kind of wild. wild times we live in, to say the least. I had a great time with Timothy Alberino, the episode. A lot of information out there. I think it was 78% of the people watching for the live said, yes, they believe that aliens are real. So, which is fascinating. Think about that. 10 years ago, that number would not have been 78%. 20 years ago, it wouldn't have been probably 5%. So yeah, fascinating stuff. And if you haven't caught Timothy Alberino's episode, please check it out. Pretty wild and amazing. I think last I looked, we're at like 23,000 views on it so far, which is amazing. And everything's looking great on the channel. Getting very close to that 90,000 number too for subscribers, which is going to be awesome. And yeah, and then of course tonight, if you get a chance, or you can watch it over the weekend or whatnot. I think it's only like an hour long episode with Terry Moseley. Some good information in there, so check it out. And like I said, we're going to be doing two episodes a week from now on. So pretty exciting stuff, and I'm really excited just in my personal life to be back to just closing the show at Legends. It's a lot less, so I'm excited about that. And just the ability to stay kind of focused in on the episodes on Tuesday nights whenever I've got to leave early to go on stage. So that's been 2 months of that. So we're breaking away from that now. And Christmas starts in Branson tomorrow, which is kind of wild. But if you do come out to Branson, you'll get some Christmas stuff. You'll get some gospel stuff. You'll get some rock and roll. So yeah, come on out. Let's see here. On the ETA file side, man, it was awesome having Austin Irby. Congratulations, Austin. Austin, you on your recent marriage. And then next week, Angel Saucedo is going to be on. And very interesting cat, Southern California kid, 21 years old, extremely talented, vocally, immensely talented. So he's going to be on ETA Files next week. So check that out. I do have something I wanted to bring up tonight, and I do have an interview tonight with Gary Leggiere. He's back, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have him on. I think we're going to start the interview recording at 9:00. That's why I won't be present tonight on the live chat whenever Terry Moseley's on tonight. So if anybody wants to step up and be there and talk on my behalf, please do so. That would be awesome. But if not, I totally understand. But I will not be able to be there only because I will be interviewing Gary Leggiere. Gary likes to record at night. We were going to do it last week and just had too much on the plate last week. So we skipped to tonight, and I'm excited about it. It'll be fun talking to Gary. So, and then I've got a lot of work. I walked into work today, or driving into work today, and I was asked by the production manager, "Hey, do you think you can put together 3 videos last minute?" And I was like, happy to, and worked on that today. And just so I've got a lot on the plate right now. And but if I get through this next week, it's going to be smooth sailing. So excited about that. Do want to also highlight next week's episode, next Tuesday, for the Ryan Files. Man, this is a big one. And if you haven't heard about them, you will. Dr. Gregory Rogers is a former, he just retired in May from the United States Air Force. This guy has flown F-16s. He's a doctor. He was the NASA doctor over 31 space shuttle missions. He was up there, to say the least, and in the know about a lot of stuff, of which he's not talking about everything, but he is a whistleblower who came out after he retired and tells a story of seeing a saucer, a UAP saucer in a hangar with the United States Air Force logo on it. And it's a wild story, man. And when he asked, whose is this? Where do we get the technology from to build this? Another major pointed up and said, we got it from them. So this is just more of real world proof of I know UAP, UFOs, and whoever the pilots are. So tune in on Tuesday. Fascinating conversation with someone who's, just recently, this first disclosed this, I believe, in May of this year. So really recent stuff. Tune into that one. And you learn a little bit too about what it's like to be behind the scenes as, um, a doctor in the space shuttle for the space shuttle back when the shuttle was running. So you can only imagine it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger since that time. So, so I'm not going to run super late tonight, but I did want to end by talking about something that happened on Tuesday night. Anybody that was in the live chat knows what happened. There was someone who got upset because of some of the stuff that Timothy Alberino was talking about, and had some choice words and had to leave. And since then has made several posts talking about it on social media. I hate whenever that kind of stuff happens, but it is what it is. So I wanted to address it tonight very simply and say, number one, Timothy and I go way back, and I've known him for a long time. I believe Timothy Alberino when he says things. He doesn't just say them to say them. But Timothy is also the kind of person who's very blunt about what he says. And he presents stuff as it's this way. Not a lot of loosey-goosey zigzag with Timothy Alberino at all. So, and this all started out, the whole premise of the episode was, and through our email conversations prior to, I was just like, Tim, you've got so much going on. We can talk about Peru. We can talk about things that, the skin peelers and all that stuff down in Peru that you've talked about. We can talk about megalithic ruins. We can talk about, and I know you're involved in the disclosure stuff, but whatever is most relevant and current you'd like to talk about, let's talk about it, because it's always fascinating. That's how the conversation started. Actually, on the Zoom call between him and I, and he said, "Yeah, okay, we'll talk about disclosure stuff, and then maybe we can get into 3i Atlas towards the end." And I was like, "Great." So we're getting ready to kind of close the disclosure side. Then you got to be just take all the attention, don't you? We're getting ready to close that, and there was a question that I had that I asked. So asking the question is my fault, and I take responsibility for it. But in this world of what we're talking about, it's something that I'm curious about. There are, and I want to be sensitive. There are, a lot of connections between alien abductions and, SA and SRA and all kinds of stuff. So, and I just wanted to ask the question, is there any kind of connection? There's a Harvard professor who said there's like 21 different points that connect very similar. And of course, Timothy, he wanted to refute that. And he began refuting it in a way that was very Timothy Alberino. Now, a couple things. By all means, and I don't need to defend any of this. I know for a fact that if you go back and listen to it, Timothy wasn't talking about every case of, SA not being real. He was talking specifically about the comparisons between alien abductions and the old school information that has been around by ufologists for decades. And he was making the comment that, hey, the two just don't correlate. They are different. Does that mean that every case that's the case? I don't know. I don't know the data. And I certainly will be going and researching that because I want to know on my own. I don't want to just take his word on it. And I am going to have someone on who is a decades-long researcher for MUFON who's talked with hundreds of people who have been abducted. So, I'm doing what I say to do. don't take my word on it. Research more, and that's what I'm doing. I'm not going to take Timothy's word on it. I'm going to research more. But he did get into something specific, and I know that a lot of you out there don't know what he was talking about. It just so happens that I do know what he was referring to, and he was referring to one very specific case. There's a personality that um, is out there on the internet, pretty fantastical, to say the least. What is said, these things about, um, I became an assassin and all this and that and whatnot. And I'm not here to agree or disagree with this individual's comments or anything like that at all, at all. I don't even want to open that can of worms, to be honest with you. But I do know that Tim was referring to that when he started talking about certain things. And he was not laying a blanket over all SA cases or anything like that. It's a sensitive topic. People have gone through things. I want to be able to do a episode. I want to be able to do a podcast where we can be sensitive, but we can still talk about this stuff. And we can talk about it in a way and understand that, not talking about things is not right. It's not the right way to go about it, because what ends up happening is everything just stays hidden. People aren't made aware of things. People can't wake up because they're not aware of things. And so that's why I don't push away topics like that. That's why I have people on that I don't agree with at all. And there are a number of them. And there's a number of them coming up. People who I don't agree with their paradigm and some of the things they say, but it doesn't mean that I'm just going to shut it off willy-nilly. And we do live in a world today where I don't agree with you. So not only am I going to, whatever, I'm going to try to cancel you. I'm going to try to shut you up. And that's the world we live in today. And it's unfortunate. But what happens because of that is very little discourse actually happens. People are afraid to actually then talk about something for fear of being canceled, shut down. When there could be somebody who might have learned something from that. There might have been someone. There certainly was someone who was offended. So it's a tough wire to walk. I take full responsibility for it because I asked the question. And I invited Tim on the show and asked him to give his thoughts and opinions about the things we were talking about. So I asked the question. So I take responsibility for that. But at the same time, I don't think we can find ourselves in a position where we can't talk. We can't bring up stuff. And, there's disclaimers at the beginning saying, hey, research it yourself. Think for yourself. You don't have to agree with everything. And just because you don't agree with everything doesn't mean that, it's just time to throw out the baby with the bathwater too. So it is a tough row to hoe, so to speak. So apologies for offending anyone out there. That was not the intent. Never is. I don't have that chip in me. I don't like to go and offend anyone. But we do talk about things that, we're not doing a podcast about, painting lilies either, So yeah, we're going to get into some stuff. So just be prepared for that. And if it's not the kind of thing that can be handled or whatnot, then, maybe it's just the wrong platform. I don't know. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there and get that off my chest and take responsibility for it. Like I said, it's totally on me because I brought up the question and the guest. But anyways, enough of that. I do want to read comments of everyone out there real quick. First of all the people in green, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate all the channel subscribers, channel members. Thank you so much. John, what are you going to be? I think John is going to be a slide rule. I always say that for Halloween. John should be a slide rule. Our engineering buddy, John Jeffords. Julie, I saw your costume, by the way, where you were all beat up and then you had the law firm that you work for. Very clever costume. I saw it. Pretty cool. Hey, how you doing? Everybody, thank you so much. Good to see you. Yeah. Hello from, yes, we got our Canadian contingency. Hey, in 2 weeks, Gary Wayne is coming on, and he is from Canada. He is awesome, man. I think he's over in the Vancouver area. Gary's awesome. So we'll have a Canadian on just for you all. Tony, you want candy? Tony wants candy. Tony. Um, let's see. Yeah, Finn goes crazy. That's why we set the candy out there so we don't have to open the door and kitty's running amok. Um, I hope she's calm right now. She gets a little bit of crazy in her though every once in a while. Yeah. Um, yeah, awesome costume, Julie. JR Sensenig, it's good to see you. JR will be performing on keyboards at Penns Peak January or December 4th, 5th, and 6th over there in the Poconos. So that'll be awesome. Good to have you, buddy. Let's see here. I didn't look up the Aussie tribute artist yet. I will. Amber, good to see you, man. Yeah, only 4 likes. I love it. Amber keeps track of this stuff. Thank you so much. Yeah, and it does help out if you give a thumbs up, write a comment. Not the live comment, but just underneath the videos. If you leave a comment or a question or anything like that, I do my best to try to get back to those and respond. But it really helps the engagement algorithm with YouTube. So if you're interested, that'd be awesome. Kate, good to have you on. Thank you so much. Brenda Castleberry, Christine Jeffords, Deborah Hetzel, rhymes with pretzel. See you in January. Which venue, Deborah? Sheila Sutton's on. Awesome. So if it isn't a demonic experience, how do the experiences stop when the person calls out in the name of Jesus? Francis O'Meara wrote that. And yes, this is what I was kind of getting at, Francis. So thanks for bringing that up. There are a number of these cases, quote unquote, alien abduction cases where someone will call out in the name of Jesus and it stops. Now, you've heard that there are certain, demonic, whatever cases where that same thing happens and it's the same result. So, is there a corollary between the two? And that's what I'm curious about. I am fascinated by the fact that we have this second heaven realm, this quote unquote spiritual dimension, with potential interdimensional beings that, and if that is in any way, shape, or form related to the alien presence that we have. Because the technology, the watchers are angels. Angels can take physical form, but they can also live in this second heaven dimension, this spiritual realm, this other dimension, if you will. So, is there a corollary between something, for lack of a better word, supernatural going on, or dimensional when it comes to aliens? Is that the answer to it, or is it actually beings from other planets or whatever? I know Timothy definitely leans towards beings from other planets. There's a number of races and whatnot. He talks about that in his book Birthright. He gets a little, I don't know, whenever it comes to when people make the blanket statement, aliens are demons, which I agree, that's a blanket statement. But could that be part of it? Because Francis, what you said is true. There are cases where that has allegedly happened. There's also other cases where it hasn't. So I don't know. And that's why you ask the questions, right? So yeah, and it gets into sensitive stuff, especially whenever what's going on when you're calling out in the name of Jesus is bad stuff. So yeah, it's good to be informed. Knowledge is power. Yeah, and if you agree or not, I mean that's kind of the thing. Just trying to do is, and it's as a community, as this is a community, I would like this community to be a place where people can go and talk, have ideas, and instead of the rest of the internet, just like Timothy was talking about, instead of the rest of the internet, we can have discussion, discourse, and maybe not get mad. We're certainly not trying to make anyone upset or cry. Um, that's not it. That's not. There's no value in that, and certainly not the way I want to live my life or put that on anyone. So, um, um, yeah, transparency is something. It's like we live in a world of suppression too. It's fascinating to me to see the amount of suppression that goes on, and it's oftentimes because we don't want to offend this person. We don't want to say the wrong thing that this group will get mad at or whatnot. And what you ultimately end up doing is you just end up talking about the weather. But you can't even do that because there's climate people out there, So it's like, what are we doing? So it is. And this is all part of just the world we live in right now. It wasn't that way 20 years ago. Certainly wasn't. Not even 10 years ago. So we live in this world where it's harder and harder and harder to discuss things, and everyone will be offended about everything. So you have two choices. You don't say anything, and therefore you just you end up living in a bubble, and within that bubble, it's just I hate to even say the word, but that bubble is very selfish because you don't want anything that disagrees with what you think to be any any part of your life, and so but there's a lot of that going on. Um, I like to be challenged, and I like to um, like I don't necessarily agree with everything Timothy said, but it doesn't mean that I'm upset with Tim. And I don't maybe I don't agree with the way he said it or whatever, but it's just like I'm sure that people don't agree with me about a lot of my viewpoints, and certainly the way I clumsily walk through the world with my words. I'm sure people hate that, but anyways, the bottom line is just like this is it's a lot, um, which we can overcome it, and we can overcome it because it doesn't need to be. This is not what we should actually be talking about. These are not ideas. These are just how do we navigate so we don't offend this person or that person, or this group or that group or sector or whatnot. So we could spend all of our time doing that and just end up in the damp laundry of mediocrity, or we could talk about things that matter and talk about it and be like, you know what, I don't agree with that. Here's why. Or, well, I do agree with that, and here's why. And that's my phone. So, excellent point, Francis. Thank you so much. Um, um, Valerie, they have all been sent out. If you did not get yours, they have, I mean, weeks ago, maybe a month ago. Valerie, email me if you don't mind. Email me at the ryanpeltonfiles@gmail.com, and I'll get in touch with you about that specifically. Um, let's see. Yeah. So had to talk about that. Hate talking about it. Hate spending the time talking about it. There's other things we can talk about that are positive and whatnot. And and there's going to be more. I mean, I've got a lot of episodes in the can right now. And there's going to be more stuff, that is coming out. Um, there's interviews scheduled. I don't know what's going to be said. Um, I mean, like I said, this dude from MUFON who's over 100 experiencers. Um, I don't know what's going to come out of that, you know. But I'm interested. God knows, I don't know what's coming out of Gary Leggiere's mouth tonight about Mars. So, um, but yeah, let's keep our heads about us. I apologize. because, like I said, I'm the one who asked the question. But I am curious, and I want to find this stuff out. And I'm not trying to break any eggs along the way. But I'm also not going to default to, this mindset of we can't talk out of fear of, you know, breaking an egg, I guess. So, and if you think I'm an idiot or you think I'm crazy for that mindset, let me know. I mean, email me. Like, once again, the Ryan Pelton Files at gmail.com. Talk to me. Maybe we don't have to. Maybe we don't have to, live our lives in social media either, where we just, we what do you call it? We're social media cowboys. We'll just get online and say anything. Let it blaze, because you don't have to actually have a conversation that way. So yeah, let's have a discourse about it. Email me. Let's talk. That's better, I think, than just, like I said, throwing out the baby with the bathwater. So anyway, I hope everyone's well. Yes, John, best camera work only whenever I was on stage, so it had to have been you. So yes, that's very true. Anyways, I appreciate you guys, man. Have a good night. I hope everything's safe. Clint Navarre from the Clint Documents, my buddy at Legends, he believes that there will be one kid tonight who comes up to my house and takes the entire thing of candy, because he says that's just the way it's going to happen. He said there's no chance that the night goes all the way through without that happening. And we have a Ring doorbell right there, so it'll be funny if that happens. And we'll put them on blast or something like that. I thought, man, wouldn't it be funny if like someone did that? You get the Ring doorbell video, and then next year just like have a projector and replay the clip on the garage door or something, for everyone to see. That would be hilarious. Anyways, kids will be kids. Anyways, I appreciate you guys, man. Have a great night. It'll be a good conversation with Gary tonight, I'm sure, and that'll be coming out not too long. So, according to Gary, he has, I think he said 104 photos, slides, he calls them, and he's like, I was like, Gary, don't really want to go over 2 hours. He's like, well, can we go 2 hours and 30 minutes? He's such a fun spirited dude. And I've really gotten to know Gary. If you watch the episode, he comes across as rough around the edges, but he's a great human being. He's very friendly. He's very nice. He's very smart. And as I said before, him and his wife and whatnot, they're going through some issues. When that episode comes out, you don't have to. I certainly am going to do it, but if anybody wants to, make a contribution via, a super chat or whatever, they can, and all that money is going to go to Gary just to help him out. They're struggling with some stuff right now. So his wife's got MS, and there's all kinds of things. So, and if you feel so led, pray not just for Gary, pray for some of the people that were offended for last Tuesday's episode. But anyways, I appreciate you guys, man. Have a good night. Be amazing. Stay curious out there, and be safe. Halloween can get a little weird sometimes, so be safe out there. But I appreciate everyone, and tune in tonight, 9:00. If not, you can watch it over the weekend, and then obviously next week is huge, man. I can't believe I got this guy to come on. But Dr. Gregory Rogers, former NASA surgeon, 31 space shuttle missions, saw a flying saucer in a hangar with the U.S. Air Force logo that came from. They gave it to us. So anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you. Be amazing. And I'll see you next time on the Ryan Files. Cheers. Hello.